Hey everyone, welcome to the Driven by Josiah podcast. I'm here with Nate Hamilton. He is the owner of 144 Print House and a professional driver. Listen to what he has to say. So drifting is part of your life, a large part. But let's talk about the family side of things, the business side of things, the friend side of things.
Yeah.
I've recognized that at your company, you guys are really tightly knit.
Yeah.
So let's go over the other stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Where should we start? Like, what do you want me to highlight on that?
So a highlight reel of your life. Let's talk about the things that gives you a reason to wake up. Why do you even get up? What's the point?
Well, so when I was younger, I told myself, like, man, I never want to wear a suit and tie. No disrespect to suit and tie, but I was like
It's
a
not you.
skateboarder that always wanted to be like free and just do what I wanted to do, right? Like follow my next dream. And so from there, I like created my life and I started just understanding that I could create income. I could balance a team. I could be accountable. I could be somebody that is a leader. And drifting like taught me all of those things through motorsport, which was weird. So I feel like the last few years of my life, I've been able to connect a lot of dots and put all that together and like start to make it work.
Do you find that you're someone that finds yourself in leadership roles or you put yourself in leadership roles?
I would say like I started to find myself in those roles. Like with the racing, it was like, I remember when I was younger, it was like my dad was around, but he wasn't like leading the team, right? So it's like no one led the team. So I was like, oh, damn, I got to lead the team. So that taught me how to kind of lead, in business.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was where I was like falling into that more than I was just a natural leader.
Yeah, so it's an actual character trait that it's identifiable
Mhm.
basically within someone. There's the type that puts themselves in a leadership role. Maybe they should be there, maybe they shouldn't. And then there's those types of people that typically are entrepreneurs that always find themselves leading people for no reason at all. You're like, why am I in charge of that?
Right.
Why am I in charge of that? You're coming to me. All of a sudden, my name is Boss Man. Not like I didn't create that name. People just call me that.
Mhm.
Even though I may not be the most organized at all, I'm actually probably the least organized. I'm someone who can be relied on, depended on to make the right decisions, think clearly under all sorts of stress. And that's like where we align
Mhm.
with a lot of things. You're
Mhm.
very similar running your own company. You've got the drift team. You're the driver. You run the show,
Yeah.
and it's crazy that you find yourself when you look back at the trail that you're leading behind you. Everything that is on it and that you've done is like you're in charge and you're leading a group of people, and it's crazy.
Yeah, like and with good intention, and like I want to grow 144 and I want to grow the team into a place where they can then extend my dream.
Yeah, so you can't have people following you if you don't have good intention and if you're not inspiring. So
Mm-hmm.
you would almost consider, like somebody said, that greatness is inspiring the person next to you. It could be just one dude
Mm-hmm.
a year, one dude a day.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, as you walk through, you're inspiring probably multiple people, but at least one,
Mm-hmm.
probably per day, someone on your team, someone who works for you,
Mm-hmm.
looks up to you. And I know guys are like that. They want your signatures. They take
Mm-hmm.
photos with you at these events. And it's so cool to see that from an outside perspective and then also relate to it because the whole paddock is filled with guys like us. It's
Absolutely.
crazy.
And it's cool to like lean into employees and like see what their dreams are and what
Of
their
course.
their talents are and then pull that out of them. Like with Adrian, my like main mechanic, it's like he had so many strengths that he didn't even know, but just through what we're doing, he's able to really remind himself that or bring that out of himself. And it's like I couldn't even have planned that.
So I feel like you you're in this position, but you also seemingly have an obligation to bring that out of people.
Mm.
It's like you for example, why would I tell anyone that I exercise every morning? Well, because if I say it to enough people, someone will go as well,
Yeah.
and they're gonna go work out in the morning.
Yeah.
So I did a solid for that person, like, and it didn't affect anything else. It was just a positive interaction. They saw it and they
Yeah.
said, you know what, I'm gonna get up today and I'm gonna do the same thing. That's what you're doing. So all of these people that without you may not know what they're capable of because they just aren't gonna try.
Right.
They won't try. So
And what about like going through different stages of business where, you know, you have people that say they want something, but maybe aren't acting upon their own wants.
it's tough,
But
right?
but then I can look back and kind of realize certain moments in my life where, you know, you spent a lot of time and it didn't work out.
Mm.
But those patterns that I watched that didn't work out, I'm able to now like influence onto to today's time where it's like when I watch patterns that aren't going in the direction that I hear the how do I word that? So some like if Adrian's telling me, so Adrian's my mechanic, and if he's telling me I want this result and then his actions aren't matching the pace of that,
hmm
I now know how to kind of correct him more so than I was as a younger entrepreneur when I wasn't able to really read the room and you know, I just had to wait for the result, which then we had failed, and I learned from those failures.
So what failures do for us and what those times that you're referencing are is a perspective that other people don't have.
Mm,
So you have the perspective of seeing things not going correctly, going wrong,
mhm.
whatever it may be. And you can say, I failed doing this already. So let me help you.
Exactly.
And the more failures you have, the more refined you're able to guide where you want to go.
Like one example is like at 144, we will wrap a truck, we'll put a graphics kit on a final bout car. Like we kind of have this whole we can apply your graphics, right? So Adrian comes in one day randomly, walks into 144, doesn't know me at all. He's like, I want to wrap cars. And at that time, I had no lust over wrapping a car. I
hmm
knew I wrapped my cars a few times a year when I wrecked them, but I basically was able to not necessarily need this opportunity. So then I put kind of a higher task at hand and I was like, all right, Adrian, if you want to wrap cars at 144, build me a business plan on how we wrap cars for business. And at the same time, let's wrap my 240. Like I'll pay you to do it. Let's put a new livery on it and show me what you can do. And he came back in with a business plan on what wraps cost, time, you know, the whole mathematical equation of what it does. And then he also did a beautiful job at wrapping the car. And by the time we wrapped my own car in house, customers had walked in, then wanted their cars wrapped.
hmm
So for us now, he looks at that and he's like, wow, you know, like I knew how to physically wrap a car and then I learned the business behind it. And so those things for me are like the point of that.
Yeah. So it's an excellent example of you're forcing yourself, you're putting yourself in a difficult position and then trying to get out of it. So it's the whole reason why I brought the Corvette to the LZ World Tour because there was a few things that weren't working out on it. And I was like, the S14 works. I'm just going to bring that. I'm like, if I don't force myself in a scenario where I have to fix something, well, it's never going to get fixed. And then we won't have driven it for another month. And then, so we said, let's pack up all the tools that we can. Let's get it ready. And we're just going to drive this thing until we get it sorted out. And you know what? It paid off. It was so much work before leading up to it. All these test days, everything was so redundant. But redundancy also creates perfection in refinement. Like you have to like an airplane, for example, has so many redundancies. If this fails, this is going to back it up. If that fails, this is going to back that up. And there's a minimum of 3 redundancies in any given scenario on an airplane when it comes to the rudder controls, when it comes to they got electronic, hydraulic, and mechanical, and it's all for the safety factors of flying people around. But we have to put the same redundancies within everything that we do, and you can only get them from putting yourself in really difficult positions.
Yeah. And I mean, like, and that is business. As soon as you're complacent, you're gonna get those results. But as soon as you're stretching, right? Like I like to think of it as stretching. Stretching
hmm
sucks, but then you're more limber. You're able to move. You're able to be younger.
Stretching does suck.
Stretching
Like
sucks.
yoga, stretching, like yoga's nice, but stretching, man, like if you actually go beyond where your limit is of your ligaments or whatever you're doing. I know you guys are always doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of does suck. You're like, this hurts. This is uncomfortable. But like you just said, it gives you 10% range by going through that discomfort. So like you take that and apply it to everything else. It's the exact same thing.
Exactly.
And
And to your point with the Corvette at the LZ World Tour, it's like, man, we know we're probably not ready to try to win this race in this car,
mhm,
but let's go try. And then I think you did great. Like, obviously, you got knocked out a little earlier than obviously you wanted to,
mhm,
but it was like to watch you run down the start straight and enter in, so like you were fully committed on that car. And I imagine jumping in it for your first major competition, there's some lag and some holy shit moment to like
yeah,
throw in this brand new race car at another car at 80-mile-an-hour entry. Like,
yeah, it was wild.
but I was very proud of you for doing that.
Yeah,
Like,
it
I
was
was
so much fun.
I was watching you as committed in your S14 in the new Corvette.
I had a blast. And as soon as you feel the car unsettle, your whole body can tell how it's going to behave between us. Like we're very connected to vehicles. We can feel everything through our body. The
Mhm.
G forces speak to us through our butt in our seat strapped in. Adam was saying in my S14, he wanted to tighten the belts more, and that's to eliminate any play between the
Mhm.
body and the seat.
Oh yeah.
And like we want to be connected to the seat, we want to be connected to the car. And if I am connected to the car, I can do anything with this car. And when it does something that it shouldn't, that's where my mind starts to go, I can help you with setting this car up. I
Yeah.
can change things. So Dave was blown away that he has never really liked the Corvette chassis. It doesn't handle like an S chassis. The Corvette is like you people need to learn how to drive it in order to drive it well enough.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you literally took the Corvette and you're making it handle as good as an S chassis, but with all the mechanical benefits of a Corvette. You've driven a Corvette, the clutch kicker's car,
Yep.
and you pretty much got in and were sending it, but lack of angle.
Yeah.
It's wide, it's long,
Yeah.
its nose is huge. You're sitting on the rear tire. It's hard to get into zones where you think you were in the zone in your S13, but
Yep.
when you're in a Corvette, you're
not
actually
as deep.
shy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I found that they were like, you're a little shy on everything, and I'm like, well, if you just switch cars, I was in fully
Right.
the zone.
Right.
I feel like the amount that I was thrown in the car was enough that I was there.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you can go closer. And I'm like, okay.
Can I? Yeah.
You watch the video, you're like 2 feet off. That's not like me. I'm usually swiping bumpers on the
Well, dude, and
S14.
today at Shannonville, when Adam was driving your S14, it was cool because at the World Tour the day before, I'm in the V8 and I'm like revving it quickly, right, with a little clutch, like whop, whop, whop.
Mhm.
And I know off track he's mentioned like, gosh, I love that, V8 sound and like that quick rev.
Mhm.
And then today at Shannonville, he was doing that next to me. He
Yeah.
pulled up and goes, whop, whop, whop,
Yeah.
and looked at me. I was like, get it, dude.
Dude, the videos that we're gonna see this week from all of this content is gonna be so entertaining to watch. I don't watch YouTube. I don't really have time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be watching some YouTube this week. It's gonna be sick. You better come out with some stuff on your channel.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're dropping. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack's been on it. I don't know how many videos he's gonna have,
Yeah.
honestly. For those of you who don't know, Nate is really only here because of the LZ World Tour, and we are making this happen on Monday night after Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of nothing but going, traveling.
Yeah.
I'm beat.
Yeah.
Just put the kids to bed. They got school tomorrow, but we're doing it. We're
That's
doing
right.
it because that's what this podcast is completely about. I have drivers on, but we don't even really talk about driving that much. And
Yeah.
and my audience, if I was to just say this is about drifting, I would reduce the audience to 1% of the population because that's how many people drive and drift, if
Right.
not less.
Absolutely.
But if I open it up to how did you get to where you are? How did that happen? And yes, driving has taught you so many things, just like it's taught me many things as well. You have to manage a team,
Yeah.
manage finances, present yourself in a way. You're basically an entrepreneur in your driving, and with 144,
Yeah.
you got multiple things going on.
Yeah, but to that point too, like I remember being younger and watching, let's say Chris Forsberg, and it was like Chris Forsberg is a mechanic, a fabricator, a truck driver, a on-camera personality. Like I was just kind of raised that like a drifter could do all of these traits.
Hmm.
And it's still true to this day. Those dudes that are really, really making it in drifting are doing so many more things outside of drifting, where the actual drifting is just minutes of that
Hmm.
day. You know what I mean? So it's like there's so many things we're doing to cultivate our audience and our brands and our businesses and all of the things that it takes to actually do the trick.
Yeah, it's an excellent, like you're pointing that out, and a lot of people really can't see the perspective. They don't understand, and the classic "must be nice" will probably be thrown out there, and has been for you. It has been for me. They do not understand
Yeah.
that having my Corvette at the LZ World Tour required 15 hours on Tuesday, 16 hours on Wednesday, going to the track with a car that we still aren't fully confident with, mostly due to the oil
Yeah.
issues. Honestly, the car itself
Yeah.
worked fine, but it's to your point of you watched and were inspired by Chris, and he did his job in the sense that he achieved greatness in inspiring you to fulfill your
Yeah.
own greatness, and everyone's capable of it. That's what people aren't understanding. We're not special.
And now when I hear someone be like, "Yo, Nate, must be nice," I'm like, "Hell yeah,
It is
it
nice.
does look nice, and it is nice." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I've worked really hard to make it nice. Like, I want it to look nice because it that's the reward at some scale is like to put it all together and it to flow into an image that is nice.
I've only just had that realization for myself in the sense that I'm always humble, and I'm not someone that likes to brag a lot. I don't like to show things off. But what you say is it must be nice. It's like, yeah, you know what? It is nice.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, like and like with FDF, it's like touring your shop today was epic, dude. Like what you guys have going on and even relating it to the team and the family and all of the things that make the thing go. It's like that is nice. That's awesome. That's such a dream come true. And it's cool to see you come up and like what I loved about it was it just speaks drift. Like it's just drift.
hmm
It's like angle kits, math, drifting, and it's your passion and it's your life. And so like that shop is a dream for so many people. And it's cool to see you build that and make that a reality.
yeah, the messages that I get on my Instagram account have a lot to do with how did you how did you do that? And I said, it's a long story, but I gave a really good speech at my college. I got an honorary diploma for a graduate. So you get another diploma for basically they're rewarding you for your success with using your current diploma.
Right, right.
And my speech had to do a lot with I didn't know how to use Shopify, so I became an e-commerce expert. I didn't know how to manage shipping, so I became a shipping manager. I didn't know how to do any of these things. Like, you don't need to. I didn't go to school for any of it. I went to school for engineering, and I learned how to draw parts on a computer.
Yeah.
And from the parts on the computer, I then reached out and found out who can cut these parts for me. I don't have any machines. The snowball effect and the due diligence and the grind that happened, so many people would stop way before.
Mhm.
Like, you're an idiot, basically, to be trying to keep doing this. And and I got kicked down so many times. I'm standing in Canada Post, horrible place for shipping. Don't even start there. Like, I could write a book on if you want to start doing shipping, I'll give you the hop, skip, and the jump past everything. Like, skip all this crap,
Yeah.
go right to this source. It's going to save you thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And you're going to start off where I spent 2 years figuring out where not to start off.
So do you think that that spirit was born like in a race car, or was that born beyond a race car? So like for me, for example, you know, I think like skateboarding helped me fall down 80 times to land it
Hmm.
once. So I think that was what like ingrained the consistency behind drifting. Like try to drift and it's okay to mess up. But like to your point in business, at every, department, you built that and you planted that seed and you were able to like let you were able to understand that department in order to operate it, in order to put someone at it so it can grow. But was that something you found in business first, or did driving help you get there? Like when did you kick off in business?
The business side of things was never a plan. And it never, I don't think it really is for anybody. I don't think it was for you
No.
either. Like the tenacity that you build from skateboarding, I have a lot of respect for guys that can skateboard a ton. Like I'm at the skate park with my BMX bike, relatively easy to just cruise around, hit some jumps, do some things, drop in. It's not that big of a deal. A skateboard is a big deal. Like it takes months just to figure out how to drop in properly. And then from that, you can't do anything yet. You're just rolling down a hill. Whereas a BMX, like first day, just drop in,
Yeah.
hit a table, jump, learn how to bunny hop on a grind and get your little things on there. It's easy. Like
Yeah.
it really is easy. And then the scooter is just like the easiest. So with this generation, we're gonna get a little off topic and then I'll circle back. So many kids are on scooters now and nobody's on skateboards. So I bring my kids to the skate park all the time. There is no skateboards.
Wow.
It's a scooter park. It's not
Wow.
a skate park. So I'm sure from your perspective, you can see a lot of people used to skateboard. We're transitioning to a lot of people are scootering. What does this mean? It's basically that saying where hard men create easy times, and then easy times create soft men,
Yeah.
and then soft men create hard times. So unfortunately, we're in soft men. Soft men
Yeah.
probably ride scooters.
Right.
No offense if you ride a scooter. It's a lot easier. Because you really don't fall. The tricks are relatively low risk. That's what people want. They want low risk. They don't want to take the chance that you probably learned so many valuable lessons from skateboarding.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I look at it like when skateboarding was born, maybe people said the same thing. So I try to stay relatively neutral in the idea of just like it's something new that I don't understand. Like I've never been on a scooter, which is fine. You know what I mean? Like no big deal there. It's just like I don't understand that culture. But at some level between BMX, skateboarding, and running scooters around a park, there is still that effort of trying and failing. And I think that's the important takeaway from all those disciplines.
Yeah. So I would agree that regardless of what you're riding, you're still at the skate park.
Hmm.
So that is a point of reference of you're still doing better than the average, which
Yeah.
is honestly, if you're going to do anything, don't do what everyone else is doing.
Oh, dude,
That's literally the best advice you could ever. If everyone else is doing it,
don't do it. And I love that, dude.
Don't.
I love trying to be.
Yeah, you're always at the restaurant being like, what is on the hidden menu?
I've taught so many people that like
Yeah.
you go into a restaurant and you're just like, please tell me either A, what you eat here or what's off the menu.
It's the best thing you
And
could say.
just even asking that starts the combo and like gets
That's
you.
brilliant, honestly.
Yeah.
Dude, it's out of the box thinking, and it's exactly what you should do. If you go to the gym in the morning, there's nobody there. That
Right.
means you should be there.
Exactly.
That's the perfect place to be. The quiet, peaceful, calm. Even if you don't even do anything really,
Yeah.
like you're there,
Yeah.
and it's important. Back to what you were saying, where did I get that? I was always just quite obsessive with figuring out and completing tasks. Like a Rubik's Cube, I learned for no reason because I was obsessed with completing it.
Mhm.
So I haven't even solved one in forever, but I can still do it today because when I was 12 years old, I was like, I will figure this out. And when that came to my spinning a basketball in my hands, juggling, doesn't matter what it was, I was like, I'm going to keep trying this until I finish it and then I can write it off as complete. So to this day, throw me 3 balls, I'll juggle it for you. Give me a Rubik's Cube, I'll solve it for you.
I can totally see that in you and in your personality and like who you are. It's so cool. Like me and my wife, we talk about the prickly and the gooey. So people's personalities are either gooey, like let's say gooey and creative, or like prickly and mathematical. So my wife is prickly and I'm gooey. And
Okay.
you're for sure prickly, dude.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. And there's no they're both good. They just have their own
Oh, they're
characteristics to
both
go with it.
amazing. And like in business, I've started to learn how to be prickly. You know what I mean? It's like with accounting or with like like money, you have to understand the dynamics of that. You can't just let it fly and let it be
You
creative.
can, it's just not sustainable
Exactly.
for a
Like you
little bit.
Yeah, you really got to be on it at some scale to understand progress, like what's going good, what's going bad. And like in the creative world, it's perspective. So, like, I can create a livery or something and it's
Hmm.
just perspective. But like, there is an analytical, mathematical side to like, how was that received? Who liked it? Who didn't? Did it, whatever, right? Like, so,
Yeah, it's really interesting because I am obsessive. I don't know if it's an actual trait that could be identified because I'm also super creative. Like I will create and imagine and build things that no one can envision.
mhm.
So I don't know. We're just special, different people. But applying that into the business is the same thing. I'm obsessed with solving this problem that I have. And then if I have one, I always look at things like it's so funny if I see someone have an issue or if I have a problem, I'm like, dude, if I'm having a problem with this, everybody's having a problem with this because like there's nothing I haven't been able to solve.
Right.
And then it kind of crosses over into relationships too. You become very good at putting yourself in other people's shoes and then showing them how uh, like you can just understand how they feel easily
Yeah.
without having experienced what they're going through, for example.
Yeah.
And I've been really good at being able to do that. And that's not really something that's common either.
So think about this. I had a question for you. So when I was at Injuku Racing, there was Kevin Lawrence and myself, and we were
Hmm.
like teammates. And Kevin, let's say, was prickly, and Nate was gooey. And in our driving, in our car setups, and the understanding of the mechanical side of a car, it was like I would, let's say, drive around things or be able to like manipulate the car in ways that maybe the mechanical side wouldn't necessarily show data on. Where Kevin was very mechanical and he was very prickly and he really, would know if his brake pressure changed or his clutch was hot or
Hmm.
the tire pressure was adjusted. So I was wanting to ask you, like, how do you feel about being super understanding of the car? Like, do you think that when you're driving the new Corvette, you are so attentive to the mechanical side that it hinders some of the like magic in some of your lead or chases? Or do you feel like you're still able to pull out that creative side, even though you may know, oh, my tires aren't up to temp, or they held me at the line too long, and like, or whatever it may
Mm.
be? Like, do you think that you are too analytical behind the wheel, or you still are able to kind of create that magic, even though the car setup may not be perfect?
So I'm very relaxed. I'm way more relaxed than what most people think. The Corvette has no alignment. It was not aligned. I set my rebound and my compression to 8 clicks.
Middle.
Never touched it.
Beautiful.
The chassis setup, like I spec'd it out and designed everything. Checked the articulation of the suspension. I turned lock to lock. I made sure there was no binding, there was no nothing, and we never touched the car. I prefer to drive around it. So when I was initiating the Corvette, everything felt great. In the chase, I would left foot, which surprisingly, that car left foot control is incredible, like
Yeah.
better than my S14. I was able to drive behind very slow cars, holding angle and just relaxing, just like brake pressure, throttle. They transition and accelerate a little bit. I lift on the brake and the car just launches towards them and I just push the brake again. It was beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I created this car, but I didn't know it was gonna be like that.
Yeah.
But then it did weird things too. So when the car was faster, I would brake in corner one, two, so 2 to 3. I'd be on the brake, off transition, and then floored. That's the long
Yep.
sweep. The Corvette would just kind of like I'd lift on the brake and it would just like snap transition really far, and I would kind of over rotate a little too
Right.
much. S14 wouldn't have done that. I did the exact same thing. So that was just a difference in the car. Like I needed to understand, okay, if I full throttle transition, lift on the brake, it's going to over rotate too much and I'm going to lose some pace.
Yep.
And I'm going to have to reduce angle, catch up, and then add angle again. It's not going to look very good.
Right.
I just drive. I'm like, okay, that's the way this car is.
Yeah.
Drive around it. So like as much as you probably think, I am super analytical with like, I was 1.5 PSI off and this just doesn't work. Don't care. I do not care at all.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I could
To your surprise, probably, but I don't.
No,
care.
and I mean, I think that that's the way that it's best for us as drivers, you know,
Yeah.
because it's never going to be a perfect calculation as to the run you're going to take.
Not in drifting.
No, they'll hold us
Wrong
at the
sport.
line for like 20 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
You hit the burnout box, and they're just like, pause the show.
Yeah.
Give
Live
us,
stream's frozen.
yeah, give us 20 minutes, and you're just like, and then they're like, go, you know. So
You have to put on your best effort at the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
Like I'm up.
yeah,
And then you're like, do you use a question for you? Do you use your warm up as setting yourself with the car? Like you turn and drift and you're like, okay, now I'm one with the car. Cause I see so many people do a burnout box and they totally mess up. Like they
Mhm.
over rotate and then they're
Mhm.
just like kind of in the grass. I'm like, how can you do a run after like you have no control of your car? Like you need to be fully in control of your car and you're about to go
Dude,
do a run.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Like
it's so important.
Yeah, and I really learned that at Long Beach in 2014 when I went to Formula Drift, and it was like the tightest burnout box ever. And you're coming right off of a parking lot into a little chute. And I remember thinking, like, I literally pulled my car out of a trailer, and now I'm in this, 8 parking spots trying to do a burnout. And then I'm going to go down the streets of Long Beach. Like,
At 70 something miles an hour,
it's just,
balls everywhere.
it taught me so much about, but at the same time, then we'd go to Road Atlanta, and you'd pace the whole track before you get to the start line.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I was like scrubbing fronts and feeling out the gearing and just like, so yeah, absolutely. I've learned that the burnout box for me is like a pretty good rhythm
Mm-hmm.
going into my
Rhythm's
run.
a good word.
It's a good rhythm going into my run. And I kind of do create basically tasks in my mind
Exactly.
where I was like, all right, I'm going to go left, and I'll like literally like hold throttle at X, look down, am I at 4,000? Cool. Out 7, boom. 4, am I at, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to hear my throttle control with my timing. I'm
Beautiful.
e-braking, like wheel backwards to scrub, like
So I think somebody else said this. Might have been Chelsea DeNova, might have been somebody else, but basically you can tell how good someone's gonna do based on their burnout box
Dude.
routine, and you're like, this guy's a killer.
I
Like,
don't
you can
thi-
just tell, and
Yeah.
then you can tell if they're just gonna blow it off track. It's a 50-50.
And I don't even know like if there's any video from the LZ World Tour Canada, but in the burnout box, I was like wall ride passenger side, switchback wall ride driver side, switchback wall ride passenger side. And like I was trying to see if I could actually just rub my rear bumper on the wall
Mm-hmm.
and just gauging all of that and like finding that rhythm. And then I would go down the line, and I found a place in drifting right now where I don't feel any pressure.
It's a beautiful place to be.
Dude, it's worked since last year when I did the world tour, or when I did the LZ Invitational in December at Orlando when I got second.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I really realized like, it's all just laps. None of it matters. It's all just laps.
Mm-hmm.
And it obviously is one thing when you're sitting on the starting line and you look down the straight and you see X amount of people, 20, 30,000 people, whatever it is,
Yeah.
sitting in the grandstands, and you're like, wow. But also our best time and timing is in our own natural rhythm that we've created throughout practice and qualifying. And so I found a place where I'm just like, every run feels like practice.
Yeah, you have to treat practice a certain way in order to have the ability to make your runs feel that way. So a lot of people, it's very difficult because a lot of people don't take it seriously, but then you can take it too seriously in practice. There's all sorts of different things mentally.
Well, and that's where I was trying to figure out too with myself. It was like, I remember going against Duarte yesterday, and it was like when I knew his car had pace, like his car technically was faster than mine, but I chased him better than I've ever, like chased anyone throughout the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I was asking Adrian, my mechanic, I was saying, like, damn, how did I pull out that pace? And I don't really know the answer yet, other than just sheerly doing it.
Yeah.
And then I went against Lee, who's also in his, future major competition car, and it went great again. And I was like, dang, like, how am I turning it on in these moments when in practice, like, I was not turning it on?
I'm the same way. Your ability to adapt is both athletic, but it's also your perspective of what stress and discipline is a very high threshold. So your ability is going to be also very high
High.
threshold.
Yeah.
Whereas this is why you're on my podcast and other people may not be, no offense to them, but it's because we have a similar threshold for these things. So I will always play up to the player. Like if they are better than me, I will become as good or better than them.
Yeah.
And I will try to force their hand in thinking the same. Like
Yeah.
they need to feel the same way about me as I feel about them. And that's what's going to make it great. So it was a weird position when I used to be intimidated by drivers.
Mm.
And then when the switch happened where drivers were then intimidated by me, and this was in Prospect, the first time I ever heard from somebody else saying, damn it, I'm going against Josiah, which is weird for me to even say because I never positioned myself that way. I just found myself in that position.
Yeah, you earn it.
You earn it through all of our hard work and all of our whatever we're doing.
And results.
The only reason we're there is because the effort that we put in got us there. But then my level of discipline versus like I think about the person that said that and I'm like, yeah, like they don't have the same perspective of what I consider stressful, what makes me anxious, what is difficult. This isn't difficult for me. Like driving is not hard. Like
Yeah.
other things that I know of are way harder. So when we're doing this is literally just fun for us. And I'm super happy that it is that way because I just thoroughly enjoy it. This was one of the most fun weekends I've had in a while.
That's how you know you're supposed to be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, to your point, it's like somewhere through practice to qualifying to tandem practice, it's like something clicks and you're like, okay, cool, I got it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
for me,
switch.
I had to realize trying less equals the better result. So as I would go, whatever, 32, 16 and onward, it was like I wanted to do more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up just needing to do what I was doing in the beginning. So like less was more for me. And I remember yesterday, obviously at the World Tour, like watching back film between the top 16 to the 8, and I'd go run back to the rig and I'd watch my run. And it was like, damn, dude, I was right in all the spots I should be.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if I try any more, I'm going to make a mistake. So then I was just easily thought, just do what I'm doing, just another run. And it's cool to feel that level.
So when you're sitting on the line, the lead, the chases are honestly quite a bit easier, in my opinion, to basically, what the task is. As long as I know how they initiate, I don't need to know anything else. Like I'm going to go right behind them, right on their bumper, and I'm going to try and basically run into it as they initiate to then close up on their door and just pin it earlier than I think I should. And it usually ends up being the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens, gonna hit them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't. But that's kind of how you have to drive in the chase to be a good chase.
Oh, yeah.
You have to over anticipate and expect that they will be full throttle. And if they're not, better be ready on the brake. But
Yeah.
we're going full throttle. So hopefully they are too. And it's so much fun. But then in the lead, it's crazy because sometimes I'll think of, so I usually go over zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, and I've just envisioned driving it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm just blank. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Then Nick Swan drops his arms. I'm like, whatever. Like, we're just going to. And then you know what? Your body just does it. And you do the flick. I stay within the line, throw it at the wall, brand new car. Hold the line. I'm watching that inner clip that they said don't run over the apex. I see my nose is past it, matted. And then in that car, I don't lift at all for the whole rest of the track.
Yeah.
A little bit of brake pressure, floored. And it's amazing. Like I was like, I didn't even think about doing that. I
Yeah.
just did it. We're in a cool place, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
This is fantastic. We're like super athletes, but like this isn't easy to do, but it's easy for us. I know it's not easy to do. I've
No.
seen it be difficult for so many people, but we are just loving life, building these cars,
Yeah.
driving these things. And every time I go against somebody, like Luke Fink was a blast. You're always a blast. Tommy's a blast. Like it's just fun. It's
Yeah.
just so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's like the I don't even know how to word it, but it's just like the rhythm you get into is crazy, and like it's cool. I don't know, man. It's
Do you
like
feel bad that you are in a position? So I have a ton of guys that help me. I appreciate them to the maximum. Like I couldn't ask for better people around me, and you'd say the same about the people around you. Do you ever feel that bad in any sense that they are spending their time on your dream when they may very well have a similar dream of their own, but maybe don't have the ambition, the backing, the financial support, the whatever? Do you ever feel like, I don't think I feel bad. I don't know. It's a weird feeling. I don't want to take their time, but then I appreciate their time. But then they're so happy to be there. But then it's a difficult position to be
yeah.
in when so many people want to be there for you.
I mean, I think that what drifting cultivates for mechanics and team members and all the staff that comes with a true like team is like if they're dedicated enough to be there, they're learning multiple things in a weekend, whether it be mingling with the industry at a bar or on track discipline and under pressure moments, and then all of the like actual like all of the actual emotions that come with the race. It's like imagine all of that for a mechanic and how cool of a day that is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think like for us drivers, we get our kicks off driving,
Mm-hmm.
but not everyone does. They get their
You're right.
kicks off of Josiah made it to 16. Josiah's in the 8. We're in the 4. Holy shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're getting their kicks in their own ways. And then when you need that 5-minute call, it's like they're over the moon. You know what I mean? When they execute a 5-minute call, it's insane. And then you go to the bar and you're mingling with your top dudes you love and you watch drive all day. It's like that whole ecosystem is just rad.
It's interesting to just watch it and be a part of it because you and me, I couldn't really be a mechanic for somebody else.
Of course.
And I don't think you could be either. It's like
Absolutely not.
your position is the one that you're in, and there isn't another one for you.
Right.
And I'm always for the people to be as much as they possibly can be. So
I
is
throw
it
it in.
like, do you let them gain the experience and then let them go? You're like, you
Oh,
should have a car.
absolutely.
You should drive yourself. You should do
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
competitions
yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's the water in the palm, right? It's like if anyone on my team is ever like, wow, I love selling merch and I'm going to go sell my own merch now that I've learned all of these things about selling merch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, love you.
You should
Do
do
it.
that.
You know what I mean? Or like, oh, Nate, you got me all the way up in this industry to where X, Y, and Z wants to hire me. It's like, okay, cool. If you don't feel connected to the team you're on, then that's probably best for both parties.
Mm-hmm.
So like with my guys currently, we're going on year 3 into 4 now collectively. And the energy is only gaining. It's only going up, up,
Yeah.
up. And it's been different for me too. Like I've had it the opposite way where year 2 into year 3 was just a huge decline of energy. And so for those listening, like if you're at a drifting event at grassroots, pro-am, pro, whatever it may be, and the vibes in your pit aren't right, think about it.
Yeah, for sure. It's a humbling experience to have people coming into your pit and coming a part of your team and wanting to be a part of it and spending their own time and supporting you as what you're doing. You're like, why are you doing this?
Well, catch this. So for me, what was so fun about my current crew, Adrian, Brandon, Tito, my filmer, Caden, our merch dude, Bailey at the front of house, like everyone coming in collectively. It's like I grabbed all of them outside of motorsports. So I went through a phase where sometimes when, like with Adrian, let's say, give Adrian 5 more years. If his ego keeps growing, it would be someone I don't look for, right? So it's like
Mm.
I found kids before they have an ego in motorsports, and I taught them the disciplines that I personally respect. And then to the current day, you would look at us and be like, that's a really cool team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was like me being able to train them into the dynamics that I was taught in the quote unquote right ways that we see fit. And so it's cool to watch them like hang with some of the dudes they watch. Like I remember my team meeting Hurt, and it was like, yo guys, we're gonna go hang out with Hurt. And everyone was pretty chill. Like they were just like, cool. We go hang out with Hurt. We go back to the hotel room. And then it was just like the room exploded and they were like, holy shit, it was
Mhm.
Hurt, you know? And they were just, and I was like, yo, what? And they were like, well, we've watched him forever and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa. Like I just put them in a position where they never thought they would meet. And same to your shop tour today, right? It's like they never thought they would see how some of this stuff was created. So they're going to geek out about it. And it's like cool to feel so chill about the moments we're in.
Dude, I was super chill.
Y-
I'm like, what's going on
You
here?
know what I mean?
Adam's just chilling in the shop. All these other YouTubers are just hanging out. And
But
all
it's,
my employees, my co-op kids from high school,
yeah.
these kids are obsessed with these guys. And we said, if you're going to be there, there's no autographs.
Do not
There's
fanboy.
you
No
can't.
photos, no autographs.
Exactly.
Be normal.
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, I didn't even actually have to have that talk with Adrian and Brandon, and they picked it up so smoothly. Like they were very respective, and you know, it almost becomes to where it's like if you're cool like that, then they will treat you like a normal human.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times these influencers, they're so, you know, cornered by the demand of an autograph or a photo that they will. I'm speaking for them, so I shouldn't, but like naturally it's like if a fan comes up to me, I want to say, what up, you good, awesome, photo, signature, love you, later,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But if someone comes up and they're like, oh, I need this part, or hey, you know, whatever, it's like it becomes more natural. So
Yeah. It is something I had to talk to my co-op kids about because I was like, guys, you guys are like 17, 16, some of them. I'm like, you can't do that with these guys. Like, if you do that in my shop, your co-op's over.
right,
It's-
we're better than this.
yeah, we
Like,
are better
we're
than
not,
this.
we're not
And
a
they were super
fanboy.
cool. Like, you probably didn't even notice. It was, or no, you were there after. They were there before. We had like 60 people at the shop.
Yeah,
Like, you guys were partying it up last night, nice and late.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
were like, yeah, we're gonna leave early. I'm like, you're not gonna leave early.
Dude, keep it Jason,
Yeah.
Grant Anderson, our 144 crew, Brian Hop. We drank some beers.
All your voices are gone.
All of them.
All of them.
It's just
and mine
techno-
would have been gone before yours.
Yeah.
Trust me. Like I go to these events, talking over cars, going to weddings, listening to loud music. I am wondering if we feel the same way about loud music, but I'm like, when we're at a social event, why are we playing the music so loud? Do you
Yeah.
agree with me?
Yeah,
We're just-
absolutely.
So we're at the Vibrant party, which you were at.
Yep.
My car's inside. I'm talking to people about my car. I can't hear a thing.
It's a club.
What? Why are we doing this? Like, I like music, but like, I'm trying to talk to people. The music's great. The DJ's vibing. Guys,
Yeah.
turn it down. And like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I've like with bars when you're trying to talk with people.
Dude.
Not that I go to bars that often, but
Yeah.
when you do, your voice is shot. Like, you got to be this close to somebody, smelling their breath, catching all their spit, whatever.
Dude, I remember in Ireland that literally happened.
Yeah,
Like,
probably.
I was there at a bar.
Why are we doing this?
And-
All humans must agree.
Dude, I had to leave. You know, it was like interesting. It's so interesting how some of that works. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just go ahead.
We all feel the same way, but nobody
Yeah.
says anything.
Yeah.
It's like, turn it down.
Yeah.
Turn it down.
Yeah.
We all can't talk.
Yeah, it's like you want to respect the event and
Exactly.
let them put on their perception they want to put on. But also a lot of the, you know, connection can be lost by the environment.
So weird.
Yeah.
Like that we all just go along with not being able to talk to each other. It blows my mind because usually I'm the guy like, If something's wrong with the meal, I'll respectfully be like, you cooked this wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
respectfully, I don't want you to lose money. I'll keep the fries, change the meat.
We're good.
Don't like waste a bunch of money trying to fix this. Just like I'll always say
Yeah.
whatever I feel, and I'm just shocked that I'm like, okay, we're gonna go out of the building way over there to talk to each other about my car, which is in there, because I can't hear what you're saying. And if I try to project my voice, I'm done for the weekend.
You're going to sound like me.
You're getting better, actually. It seems like actually when your voice is going, the softer
Yeah.
you speak, like it sounds normal. You
I-
think it's quiet, but it sounds normal.
I also heard how you get it back is use it, right? Like a blown out voice, you got to keep using it to get it back.
Yeah, because if you like let it sit for a while and then you try to talk again, it's like
The first thing in the morning, yeah, you're just,
oh, my voice is ridiculously deep in the morning
yeah.
for no reason, and it gets like higher throughout the day. It's pretty funny, actually.
But yeah, so like, let me ask you, what was your first take on the new Corvette this weekend? Like your initial out of the box feeling. And I mean, I want to ask you this to you, like not the car mechanically,
Mm.
not any issues you may have had, but like, what did it feel like for you to overcome the engine package, have a reliable car you were driving as a human?
I blew my own mind, honestly. I was told externally, lots of videos tagged on Instagram from the crowds, which is super cool. When you go to your request box and you
Love
see it
that.
just filled, and you're
Love it.
like, these people all, they know who I am. They know this car. They've seen it all. It's 37 episodes that we did, hours worth of this build that I decided to document for anyone to see. Unlimited information on how I did it. I didn't hide anything.
Right.
I blew myself away in the performance of this car, the strength of the car, hitting people, crashing, testing all my theories, jumping that inner apex a couple times when we were a little
See-
spicy flooring it, and I just went like fully over it.
Yeah.
Full jump,
Yeah.
60 miles an hour. People were like, dude, your car, the body stayed and your wheels just went like
Yeah.
this.
Seen it.
And they were like, how did you do that with a Corvette? Like Corvettes are so stiff. They're so like the car should have just flown off the
Yeah.
track. And I'm like, everything that I had envisioned in increasing the suspension travel,
Yeah.
doing all of these things, adjusting the motion ratio, putting different coilovers. They're not even, if you bought the coilovers for a Corvette, they don't go on this car. Like
Yeah.
they're custom coilovers that I spec out. Luckily with BC, I know you work with them. You've shared lots of contacts with me that I carry on today, and they were super happy to have your word. And you're just like, yep, this guy's solid.
Mm-hmm.
Chat him up.
Yeah.
And then they've gone somewhere because of you. So I appreciate that
That's
a ton.
cool.
That's super cool. So you've done your job at achieving greatness. You've inspired, supported, and allowed for somebody else to, it's not affecting you.
Yeah.
It's just growing with you in a different lane.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and ultimately, when you meet someone like yourself, it's like it would be better for the companies that I trust in to work with people I trust in, right? So it's like I'm not going to put a word in for you if I don't trust in you, you know? So it's like cool to see you and I connected Clutch Kickers really through Tire Streets and then come together more and more and more and more. And like driving on your angle kits, of course, is like a blessing because you share so much knowledge with the industry. And short of obviously ringing up the shop and asking questions, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's cool how transparent you guys are in the industry to help everyone adapt and learn with your kits. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Like I just want to see the best possible performance and it hold up to all the gnarliest accidents, which you've done a great job at displaying. It's been phenomenal, man. It's been so much
I've
fun to
jumped
watch.
the thing, wrecked the
Like
thing.
the same tie rods, the same car.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy that it's held up as well as, I mean, my S14 is a tank too.
Yeah.
Like that thing is so good at handling all, like, remember Alec Honadale just smashing into me? The
Dude.
car was like no problem.
Yeah.
Like throw a new wheel on it. We're
wheel
good.
came off.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah.
Throw a new one on. We're good to go. Smashing things, breaking stuff. Love it. Like I love every
Yeah.
minute of it.
Well, let's talk about some shit you probably don't love. So I don't know where you're at in the story of this, so I'm just bringing it up, not knowing. But when you originally had the Corvette and it was about to debut, you had an engine issue. And then you had a little, let's call it lull, to fix the engine.
Hmm.
And then now you just debuted at the World Tour, Canada, LZ World Tour Canada, and you put on a rad performance. What was that like when you had the engine issue, then fixing the engine issue? What was the middle ground of all that?
It was called the Great Depression. That's it. Like anyone that came to the shop, it was just like the never-ending story. Where are the YouTube videos? The series was dead in the water. We had no content. The engine was taking forever to build because of the custom pistons. The engine blew up. It spun a bearing on number 6. Not even sure why. Probably a tolerance, probably something strange. Like bearings don't go like that. Like the same engine, all the same specs that I have right now. It's been fine.
Mhm.
So these things happen. The quality of the company that I'm working with, Josh at FabMac Industries, really shows when you come across, and you will always come across, something that will test you to the maximum. You won't sleep for 2 weeks, guaranteed, minimum. We've all been, I know I've been there. I don't know if you've been there.
Absolutely.
Literally unable to sleep. Like we're talking cold sweats, fetal position, laying the towels on the bed. You can't sleep. The stress is probably taking years off of your life. I've been there. So
Is
anyone
that what
going,
that was like?
no, this is other situations that I've been in. This is the situation he was in,
I
the
see.
engine builder. What that person does with that is going to show me what type of person this is. The easiest thing would have been to throw in the towel. You did something, the engine blew up, fix it yourself. Like you ultimately drove the car. I'm super analytical and anal about everything to do with the vitals of the engine, the temperatures, the pressures. I'm constantly monitoring everything, checking
Yeah.
logs every run, doing all that stuff. So I knew nothing went wrong, but at the end of the day, the engine blew up in my hands, and we're drifting. We're sending this thing to 8,000 RPM and just clutch kicking it. Like it's not good for it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not good for it. So like
Right.
if you break it doing that, it's like, well, things break when you do that.
Right.
So like what happened was he took it upon himself to realize that something happened likely on their end, and things will. You absolutely cannot judge the character or the ability of a company based on their failures, because if we did that, Michael Jordan would be the worst basketball player that ever played, not the best, because he
Right.
missed
More than he
some
made.
way more.
Yep.
Missed way more. A good shooting percentage is like 40.
Yeah.
He missed 32,000 shots and he made 26,000.
Right.
We look at the 26,000, we think, wow, like this
Greatness.
guy had 6 rings, but he also played for 14 years. So he didn't get
14 rings.
eight seasons he didn't win, and he won 6. So it's all perspective. So what this failure showed me and taught them is due diligence, attention to detail, redundancy,
Mm.
discipline. This is a lesson that you couldn't go to school for and learn. You can't pay 30 grand and take a course that's going to make you feel like that.
So do you think that looking back on it now that you're up and running and obviously doing well in competition, like it was quote unquote worth it? Or do you think that, you would have just,
Man,
I know. And I know it's not necessarily worth it, but I mean, like, if everything always goes smooth, maybe you get soft. And if things are
no,
difficult,
you're right.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
things get difficult, you gain callous, right? So like,
No, totally. Yeah, like my hands are calloused to protect myself from lifting heavy weights all the time. So if I didn't have these, my hands would just be soft and sore.
exactly.
You make a good point, but then at the same time, I was upset and frustrated because you fuck around and you find out. And
Yeah.
I've done a lot of that, and I've found out a lot, and I'm done with doing that. Like I've found out. I don't want to find anything more. I just want it to work. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
I've done my due diligence. Like I've been there before.
Yeah.
I built engines
Oh,
myself.
I see. You're like, this is my time to build a car. It all will go smooth because I have
We've done it.
calluses. Right.
Yeah, no,
Right.
I've got them. Like
I don't need any more.
basically, they tore off. I don't know why, but like I was rock climbing and they tore off. Like I don't know what happened. Like this is just something crazy that, like, yeah, you fuck around and you find out.
Yeah.
That's like the guy that made the graph where
Yeah.
he's like, this is how much you fuck around. This is how much you're gonna
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
I've done it like to the max, 10, 10, and I found out everything that you can.
Well, I think that at least for the industry watching, it made for an interesting story, and it made for a relatable story because that shit just happens sometimes, man.
It
You know,
does. It always will.
and a lot of times, I'm sure people are out there building motors and trying to accomplish bigger power or whatever it may be,
Hmm.
and they're having issues like that too. So, like, double-edged sword.
Yeah. I mean, looking from the outside, I don't know what it looks like. We called the Great Depression for about 3 months, and here we are coming out the other side. Like, we went through every scenario, taking the S14 engine out and throwing it in. It's the last thing I wanted to do, but it was on the table.
Yeah.
A very serious conversation was on the table. But the problem was, I'm trying to build a successful resume for FD. So I needed to win competitions.
Yeah.
I need my S14 to win competitions. I can't risk. It was a lot of turmoil, but I wasn't in the position of, like I described, the nights. Like I was sleeping fine.
Right.
Like
Well,
what?
so moving forward with your new goals and your new dreams, like what is your lust over the future? You going to go to FT?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you say that. I think the other thing that defines how we are is we're suckers for punishment for I don't know what reason. Like sometimes we're like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like this is so much work.
Yeah.
What's the return on investment, man? Like
Yeah.
we have fun for 2 hours and we're slaving for 20.
Yeah.
Like what kind of trade-off is this? But man, adrenaline and the serotonin between, I don't know if that's the right chemical that's being thrown around, but we're hanging out with people that we like. You can't recreate this type of energy. Like I talk to people, small talk, do not care. Like they probably can tell that I don't care. Like I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like a fan coming up to you or something?
well, not a fan. No, I'm pretty hyped to meet someone that thinks I'm cool.
Yeah.
Like for sure. I would say you're at a you're at a barbecue, you're at a party, there's a bunch of people there, and they don't really care what you do, but they ask you anyways, and then you ask them, and I'm like, dude, I don't really care.
Right,
Like,
right.
I'm more curious to see how your brain works in response to my questions, and then how you interpret what I'm saying, and then what your response is.
Yeah.
Fire me back a question, and then you analyze like really what you're saying,
Right.
like really thinking about what you're saying. Like this is what I enjoy in conversation. I don't enjoy it's a waste of time, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I'm following.
yeah, it's a waste of time. When we communicate, what do you need? This, no problem. We don't
So-
say hi. We don't.
But if you look at the future and you say, I'm Josiah, I'm going to go to Formula Drift, and I want X, Y, and Z to happen.
Mhm.
Like, what is that lust for you?
It is to go to FD. I think there's a sense of urgency for me to be there with my company.
Mm,
That's how I feel.
mm,
So I think I need to do everything that I can to get there, and I am doing my due diligence. I'm going to the rounds, I'm talking to the right people, and I'm making the stuff happen. And with that comes lots of hidden relationships that I didn't know I would need or I'd find. But Ethan's great for that, breaking the ice with people, introducing myself. The guy won't stay anywhere for more than 20 minutes, so it's perfect. And then from me, they take me a lot more seriously on the business side of things, on this guy is capable of a lot of things, and that's where we run with it. So
Yeah, and I think to that point, you're bringing value to drifting,
yeah,
which is like my goal in 144 is like, I remember being younger and it's like, we're all eating off the same plate. And then it becomes a game of like, how much can we eat? But then it was like, well, if Josiah brings FDF to Formula Drift, let's say, and maybe you open up some form of whatever it may be in business for those drivers or however you can cultivate the community to back you, you're bringing something.
hmm
You're not just taking something. And I think that that's like what drifting needs. More people to keep bringing to the table. It's like
Yeah.
what you do for me at 144. It's like the GR86 angle kit. It's like the JZX90, the 240, like all of the disciplines of all the chassis that you offer. It's like crazy to me. So it's like I always feel love. I can go buy what probably something random and you'll have
Covered.
it.
You're
You know what I
covered.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's like that support is crazy.
Yeah.
You're
That
straight
kind
up
of,
bringing support.
it's a lot of trust that you have. You're like, I don't care what the car is. E46, no problem.
Yeah.
FTF's got me.
Yeah.
You're like,
V.
well, what are you going to do with suspension? I'm not worried about suspension.
Yeah.
Like, I'm worried
Yeah.
about this or this or this. You're like, suspension is covered.
But then you taking that into like a pro setting is cool, you know? And
Yeah, I think that it's been very difficult for me to portray that across to the guys that matter in FD, and it's all about who you know, and if you don't know the right people, life's difficult, man.
Mm.
Like it's people are everything, absolutely everything.
Yeah.
You could actually suck at everything, and as long as you know the right people, you're good.
yeah.
So it's really important for me to be present, and I'm not a
So are you finding difficulties in that? Like
challenges.
you
Yeah.
present opportunities, but people are just not willing to expand or try that.
It's definitely testing my ability to present myself
Mm.
and not seem annoying. Like
Mm.
I find I hold myself back in the sense that I have a radar for what I would consider annoying, and I don't put myself in that position. Whereas someone like Ethan does not care at all.
He'll knock
Like
on the door all night,
all night.
all night,
Like you're sleeping.
Vegas style.
Yeah, dude. Like too much. Like too much. Dylan said he is the most annoying but what how did he say it?
Dylan Hughes.
Yeah, he said he was the most annoying guy he's ever met, but also he likes him a lot. He's like, I don't know how it makes sense. He's like super annoying, love the guy.
I
It's
love
like
it. I
so
love
weird, right? But it's an interesting duo because him and I, we're not opposites. I'd probably put myself in a neutral point of like, I'm not an introvert, I'm not an extrovert, I'm in the middle. I can talk to basically anybody. I'm confident. I don't care, but I think that I just don't care much
Yeah.
for, I value time too much.
Yeah.
And if I think it's a waste of time to have a conversation, I just won't have it. Where
Yeah.
if it's a waste of time, he'll still have it. No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's got nothing to lose, nothing but time.
Yeah.
Right. So we're walking around SEMA. I'm like picking and choosing. I'm like going here, going there. He's just like, whoever's walking by, they're up next.
Yeah.
It's like they don't even know who it is, but that's good, man. Like lots of stuff can happen with that.
Yeah, you need that, and you see that in a lot of the crews today. It's like you need those different dynamics inside of your team,
Yeah.
You
have it. Like
Yeah.
you guys have all of it. Every dynamic has worked really well for 144, and you guys get along really well, and you got the funny guy, you got the clown, you got this, you got that, and
Yeah.
it's sweet. I have the same thing, and that's why everyone gets along so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know, man. Like this weekend was just such a good time. Everyone being in Canada, it's a high, and then we got to come off of it somehow. And you're like, you don't really want to, but we need to go to bed like now.
Right, right.
We're up doing this, but like I got the kids. We're going to school in the morning. I
Yeah.
gotta do that.
Yeah,
And like
dude.
this is worth it, man. Like I'm gonna look back at this. This is gonna be reels from this. We'll send you a bunch. I'll take
Yeah.
a bunch. We'll post them up on Instagram. Instagram loves these, by the way.
Dude,
Like,
I'm stoked.
they always do well.
Yeah.
And the more relatable it is to people, the better. And
Yeah.
we got drifting stuff that we said. We got lots of cool things that we said. And I think we're at hour 10, which is perfect.
Sick.
Like I told you, like,
Yeah.
dude, an hour, like we could go
Boom.
2, 3,
Yeah.
bathroom break 4, like
Right.
no problem.
Right.
No problem.
Absolutely.
But
No, I appreciate being here, dude. This was awesome. Voice gone. Super hectic, long weekend. We both got great results in racing.
mhm.
It was really cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad the LZ World Tour brought us to Canada.
Yeah, and despite some of the logistical things that they went through, I think that drifting at Shannonville today, my home track, is like a prospect for a potential place for it to be
Yeah.
a year, maybe 2 years from now.
I knew that's why we were there.
Yeah, it was definitely lining up to say, look, John, these are serious guys. Like
Yeah.
they bring serious spectators.
Yeah.
He really didn't understand the demographic. He's
Yeah.
like, that's not possible.
Yeah.
People don't like drifting that much.
Yeah.
And it's like,
With
maybe not, but when you pair it with these influencers, these kids look up to Adam. Hurt wasn't there, but Hurt and Jimmy and all these guys, it's with great power comes great responsibility, some stupid superhero movie quote, but they have a responsibility
Well,
to.
let's end it on this. What do you think about the LZ World Tour as a whole? Like, what do you think it's doing for drifting right now? Like, obviously, it's pulling out a crazy audience. You're seeing, like you said, Adam, Jimmy, Randy Trong, Hurt. I'm kind of in the mix as just this
Yeah,
like
we're in the mix,
we're in
but
the mix, but we're in the mix. We're in the mix introduced in business. Like my t-shirt production has been able to kind of bring me into the mix as well as the OG racing vibes. But
mhm.
like, what do you think this is doing for the sport today? And do you think this will have a lot of longevity? Do you think it's cooler than pro racing because the worlds of YouTube are clashing? Like, what's your
I
vibe on
think
it?
I love it, man. Like I think it's really entertaining to watch. It is genuinely inspiring people to say that you can do it as well. And the fact that Adam is bringing in guys like that, they're just locals, they're just whatever. Like he makes sure that the event has the key stars, but then we're bringing in local legends or not randoms, but people that we
Have
they
the
can
have
relate to.
have the credentials of that region. So like when I was in Ireland, right, because we had one English town and the prize was an all-inclusive paid trip to whatever round you wanted.
Hmm.
And I chose Ireland and it was like I got to drift with Darren McNamara, right? Just like OG,
Hmm.
like ridiculously like creditable locals. And Adam does that with every stop. So to
Hmm.
your point, in Canada, Dave Briggs was there. Like I was
Yeah.
like watching a dream from 10 years ago.
Yeah, you did you drive with him or was
Yes.
he out before you were in?
I mean, we didn't race against each other, but I got to tandem with him in practice, and it
It's
was just
cool,
like
man.
it was his classic style.
Hmm.
Like 15 years later, just like
Yeah. He
crazy.
was the Mazworks SR20 1000 horsepower S14 and FD. That was what he was known
And
for.
he's in a Mazworks VQ or something
Yeah.
crazy. Like
Twin turbo VQ.
yeah,
Super cool, man.
like
Like, yeah.
Dave, come on.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. And the people in the crowds, like they're watching this. I was tagged by so many high school friends that I haven't seen in 15 years,
Wow,
messaging me on Snapchat being like, dude, this is incredible.
that's
Like,
so cool.
you're ripping around this track. The one guy, I remember I bought a snowmobile engine off of him. I put that snowmobile engine in a go-kart that I was building, dropped it off at my house, and this guy was watching me drift, and he was like, dude, you have blown us all away. Like
Wow.
all of our peers in high school, no idea. Like I'm
Yeah.
playing basketball thinking I'm going to college for that, and then I'm doing this. And it's like that's the last they saw of me. They're like, this is what you were doing then. Holy shit, like what do you do? Like this is crazy.
And that's for me the real trophy, right? Like when your original hometown people see you succeed and then are able to connect and give you the credit, it's like that's the trophy, man.
Yeah, Snapchat message. Like I've had these guys since high school on it. I've never talked to them, and they're
Yeah.
just like, they just send me a
They're
Snapchat.
there.
Never had a snap sent from them ever before in my life. And they're out there in the crowd just watching,
That's
and
so good.
they see it rip by, and they're just like, "Dude, you are shredding!" Like,
So good.
unbiasedly, favorite car of the event. I
Yeah.
heard that a few times, which is that's cool, man.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
everyone's got sick cars. Like
Oh, for sure.
they're all dope, but
For sure.
the Airjacks definitely are a little bit of a flex.
Hey,
Like,
right. I can't buy the pit.
yeah, yeah, dude. And I mean, I recommend them to anybody. The
Yeah.
unibody chassis would be hard to put them on,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
It just happened to
My
work
shit would
well.
just be
Just-
sideways.
Yeah, the S13s are not too solid, man. But you've been making it work.
No, it's fun.
Yeah,
I'm down with that car. But soon the GR86. Next year is the whole tour for Toyota, so it'll be
I'm
cool.
excited for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's gonna be lots of conversations, handling, tweaks. I'm sure we
Oh,
might
for
need to do
sure.
some tweaks with some stuff. Looking forward to it, man. Like if we can refine this and get it to where I feel I am within one event of my new car. And dude, it's very similar stuff. I basically was like, I finished my Corvette stuff and then I applied all of it to your
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like,
And hearing that gives me a lot of confidence, dude. I'm stoked to get in that thing and like give you feedback and figure it out and go through the learning curves. But
That's a tough chassis. So if we figure something out, dude, I'm pumped.
I'm
Like,
stoked to try and overcome it all. You know, I
hmm
understand that that chassis is going to be difficult to maybe make grip or forward bite or
hmm
travel on the shocks, but like we'll get it done.
hmm That's gonna be a good ending for this podcast. Usually I go around 2 hours, but dude, this is a lot of quality
Yeah,
chats, and then
absolutely, dude.
shut her down at an hour 15. That's perfect. People are
Beautiful.
gonna be. It's a nice little drive, little commute to wherever you're going.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for watching. This is Nate Hamilton, and we're gonna have to do it again when I come visit you guys in Texas.
absolutely.
All right.
Appreciate it, Josiah. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.